their paces. Now it's up to the first 40 minutes for the Tigers and the Sharks. Live Friday night from Leichhardt Oval, Wilson. Straight up into the defence. Miller just looking for support players. Again in the dummy half roll. Straight across the paddock. Very soggy Leichhardt Oval. Probably looking in better shape on these pitches, Bill, than what it actually is.
Yes, it does, Graham. They've had some more rain here during the day, and those dark patches are about 6 inches of mud. But, you know, while it won't affect Balmain too much, I think you'll find that Cronulla will try and play the game outside of them anyhow.
Gary Jack gets the penalty. The Cronulla players inside the 5 metres from the kick. Barry Russell was the culprit. Jack will look for touch. Finds it inside Cronulla territory.
Further to your comments about Gary Jack earlier on his arm, he's still got massive amount of strapping and support around that right arm of his, so it could be that it's still a little bit fragile.
Now Edmed. A very big, strong Balmain pack. Rex believes that's where it's going to be won tonight. Roach, welcome back by Bobby Fulton into the green and gold colours. Neal, Pobji, Sirinen standing very wide and busting Cronulla right open. He's got support inside. Wayne Pearce gets a pass away, but it comes undone. They were on the way for a try, the Tigers.
Yes, this was a great bust on the Nissan replay with the big fella Sirinen getting through 2 defenders there. Got a pass back into Pearce. Pearce's pass there to the support was just behind, just couldn't handle it. Could have been an early try to Balmain.
All revved up the Tigers. Barry Russell steals away from the scrum base. Coleman comes in off his wing, driven sideways in defence from Maguire. Now Miller. Again, he's just hunting out of that dummy half position. Straight across the paddock. Once more, Sorensen. Miller, blindside. Standing very flat was Magor. Nowhere to go and in a whole heap of trouble. The early onslaught coming from Balmain in both defence and attack. Long pass back for Wilson. He gets a deep kick in, but Gary Jack's only going to have to stand his ground. To the side of Eddinghausen, he can't get away from him. Steve O'Brien will go for a dash, a short-lived one. Now Neal, quickly they spin it. Maguire's into a hole. The forwards on the fringe are finding gaps that bounce forward. So the danger signs are there for the Sharks on the fringe of the ruck.
Well, twice on the opening stanza of this game, they've made a bust. Maguire on this occasion, Sirinen on the other one. The pass back inside was much too hard. Rebounded to Pearce, who was in an offside position, but the referee had seen the forward pass.
Annesley wants this scrum to go down again. He calls Barry Russell back. Speechley. Balmain in the back line inside the 5 from the set scrum. Pobji getting a warning from Annesley. Right in midfield, Eddinghausen. Put the Sharks on attack down near the quarter line. Just outside, in fact. John Davidson retrieving the ball for Porter. He knows every blade of grass around Leichhardt. Some say that he still should have been here in the squad of 89. Now Cronulla about 12 metres away. Switches of play, Speechley down the blind. Wilson, an easy ball to handle. He just clutched at it.
Yes, a case of really grabbing and making up his mind what he was going to do with the football before he caught it there. That was the Nissan replay, and that showed the culmination of a bad bit of handling.
Well, the Tigers have had most use of the football in the first 5 minutes or so. A couple of clean breaks coming their way, but they find themselves in their own quarter. Get some relief here, though, with a penalty. Right on the quarter line. No score in this Nissan Friday night football game. And Graham Annesley calling up Gavin Miller. Maybe just questioning the last penalty or explaining what he wants. Nevertheless, the penalty's gone to the Tigers, and they'll find touch about 5 metres from the halfway mark. Hardwick with the restart. Finds Roach. Hardwick in the hooking role tonight in place of Benny Elias, who has his arm in plaster.
He just copped a forward pass there. The referee's let go.
Now it's across for Neil, and then to Podgy. And here's Gary Jack making a clean bust. He's over the halfway mark now. He's looking for his winger. But the pass, well, it's been taken well by O'Brien. And they're inside the Cronulla quarter now, the Tigers. And here they come with Big Surinam putting on another charge. Only about 10 metres out from the Cronulla line. Neil's got it. Across the back line, Pearce was there. The pass has come back inside. And finally, big blocker Roach comes up with it inside the corner and got a pass away to Pearce. Now it's Neil. Neil 10 metres out, a pass gone back inside. It's gone astray. Hardwick is there to pick up the dregs. They're certainly throwing it around, maybe losing a little bit of momentum with the pass not as well directed as he wants. But Neil, the kick across field, it's come free now and a scramble for possession. I think Russell's come up with it for Cronulla. Certainly fast-flowing action here at Leichhardt.
Yes, let's have a look at the footy tab situation. Johnny Croucher, what have you got to tell me?
Oh, g'day, Rex. I can tell you we've got $28,000 in the pool tonight. 50% are gone for Balmain, 40% for Cronulla, and it's surprisingly big 10% on a draw for this match. And in fact, many of them think Balmain's going to kick a field goal. The computer's gone for Balmain, Rex, 16 to 20 points for them. Cronulla 10 to 14.
Good one, Johnny. Thanks.
The Sharks in possession, Speechley with the kick. And rolling towards the touchline and just rolls across the touchline just outside the Balmain quarter.
Yes, a splendid ground gainer there for the Cronulla side. Speechley whacking that one hard and makes a good gain of about 35 metres.
Neil with the scrum feed. And the scrum goes that way. But Speechley and Hatch there to claim him. Here's Harry Jack again.
He's looking dangerous tonight.
Looking for plenty of work, isn't he? 32 metres out from his own line. Hardwick gets it away to blocker Roach, and Pearce running off a Roach pass.
Beautiful pass from Roach there. The ball barely touched his hands.
Blindside is Neil. It's come back for Currier. 5 metres from the halfway mark. Crofty out from Maguire, then Jack. And then Tim Brasher. Last tackle signal against the Tigers. Neil. Taken well by Docking. He in turn is taken quickly by Brasher. So it's the Sharks now just outside their own quarter. Coleman playing it. Danny Lee. Now Sorensen. Caught by Hardwick and Roach over the top. Speechley again, using those sidelines and finding it about 32, 33 metres out from the Balmain line. So another scrum will go down. And in back play we have Sorensen down, receiving some attention to a knee. Hobbling back to the scrum. Are they going to pack without him? Well, we'll put it in again, a little unable. Sorensen to pack in the block. Worked by Neil, come out Balmain's way. In from the wing comes James Grant. Cross for Neil now. And here's a Balmain penalty. Cronulla too eager up inside the 5 metres. And Annesley wants to have a chat again to another Cronulla player, and this is David Hatch who's come up, who's captain of the side.
Yeah, David Hatch having a little bit to say here. The referee is adamant about the distance. He's requiring the team to be back. Hatch is not convinced. He walks away shaking his head. But believe me, the referee is always right. Even when he's wrong, he's right.
If you say so, Rex. Gary Jack finds touch. Peter Sterling, some real danger signs here for Cronulla.
Yes, it certainly is. Look, very, very thin on the fringe of the ruck. A lot of their players getting caught in the wrong place in defence. I suppose the biggest thing Cronulla have got going for them at the moment is that it's still 0-0.
That's not a confident note, is it?
Being kind, Hardwick a dummy half now. Shape to go down the blind, finds Wayne Pearce, who's heavily involved in the opening 10 minutes. Neal. Maguire standing, shaping to pass, still pops up a fine ball for Neal. Wayne Pearce again, got support in James Grant. Taken by Magore. They've been threatening to bust them wide open on a number of occasions. Balmain. Probsy did well to grasp that. Big Steve Roach into the clear. Maguire. Eddinghausen's got him. 5 metres out. Quick play the ball. They should score. Courier. He just goes from dummy half. Does he reach out? No try. Annesley said no try. Courier said it must be.
Well, a head-on shot would show us that one, clearly. I mean, we've got to be able to look at this one head-on. That's the only way to go. Well, geez, I don't know. Here we go again. Let's have a look at it on the Nissan replay. Does he get the ball down over the line? Well, it looks as though it's just short of the line to me. I mean, I can't see the line there.
Well, I thought it might have been planted on the line. All the Balmain players wanted to argue with Annesley, but as Rex Moss had said, he's right when he's wrong. Or something like that.
Yes, even when he's wrong, he's right.
Cronulla working it away. They live again. Miller wasn't expecting the pass. He puts his foot to it. Gary Jack doesn't have to move again. And Jack stepping.
That's one of the things they've got to pay some attention to. They're kicking down Gary Jack's throat.
Well, he's lost it. So they come off the boil. Cronulla in all sorts of problems. Russell with the feed. Speechley goes blindside with Docking, but he can't use his fullback. Tries to get involved now, but just wrapped up in that dummy half position. Hatch. Not showing a great deal through the forwards. The Balmain 6 well and truly revved up for this one. Sorensen. Taken by Hardwick. Now Russell says it's time to go to the backs. Speechley. Again the kick. Magore. It was a line ball whether he was in front of the kicker. He's going to take Gary Jack on. Shoulder to shoulder. He smashes Jack into the end goal. Annesley said it was okay.
Well, certainly Gary Jack's come off the better in that little contretemps there. There was this great race for the ball. Gary Jack got to the ball, then came like a locomotive came Magore. And at this stage, Gary Jack looked as though he wanted to go on with a bit of a fight because there was this body on top of him. He's thrown a punch. Unquestionably, Jack threw a punch at Magore, and Magore is still receiving attention. I think he resented the fact that he'd been lumbered in the in-goal area. See it again. This is replay.
He takes a short right here. He throws Jack back, or he threw him back down to the ground at the finish of that.
Well, put that way in the way of a deterrent. Don't do it again.
Davidson. Cronulla with another opportunity now. It's been all Balmain. Unlucky not to have been on the scoreboard. Hatch. Russell. Speechley. Now Magore. Back for Speechley. He stands and gives it to Docking. Tries to find a hole. He only needs a small one. Miller. The Courier got a foot to it and needed to. It was headed to the end goal, and Cronulla had the advantage. Not back, says Annesley, against Hardwick. So under some real pressure themselves now, Balmain, to work it away from their line. O'Brien in off that far left wing. They really are bunched, Balmain. 0-all the Tigers and the Sharks. Maguire just hits it up. 12 out from their own line, Balmain. Edmed, great tackle. Speechley. Neal, he gets his foot to it. He kicks away from Docking. He splits Docking and Coleman. Coleman fumbles, makes a mess of it, and just manages to get out of it.
Well, this Balmain side certainly working very hard. In fact, everyone in the side is working hard except the bloke on the scoreboard. They've done everything but score points, Balmain. And the Sharks have it just about on the halfway mark. And fast and furious. And Miller working this pass, and it's finally come out to McGaw, who was on the wing. The pass went back inside for Davidson. Anybody's ball. Jack finally claims it for the Tigers.
Well, neither of them are going to give it up.
Well, the referees ruled that Jack had it. I didn't think there was much doubt about that, although Davidson had other ideas.
Yes, let's have a look at these lower grades while the Balmain side are working the ball away from their line here. In the under-21s, Balmain 22, Cronulla 16. And in the reserve grade, Balmain 17, Cronulla 10.
And here's Steve Roach again threatening to make a break. He's been very much involved in the game so far. It's back for Neal. Sends Docking across field. Docking finally has it. Coleman is with him, but Docking elects to take the tackle on his own. He's caught just short of halfway. And very slowly gets to his feet to play the football. Gee, that was a solid hit from Sirinen on Coleman. Now Lee. Lumbering a little bit.
It's the sort of ground that prop forwards lumber around a bit on, I'm afraid. They're not the quickest on their feet.
And McGaw finally got it away to Davidson, but Neal has him around the ankles. Grant over the top. Just inside the Balmain half. Wilson scampers across field. And that's the last tackle now. They come back the blind side. Not going to find touch. Bill Anderson, they're playing the blind an awful lot.
Yes, they are. Cronulla are hitting the short blinds when they get the opportunities, but they have pushed the ball on only a couple of occasions to their back line, and when they have, they've had some success. I believe that's where they've got to try and play Balmain. You've got to move these Tigers around before you start to hit up the centre and tire them. And Cronulla will have success if they do that, but at the moment, they're playing into Balmain's hands, playing them 15 metres either side of the play the ball.
Steve Roach showing a real liking for the work tonight, running on strongly. Now here's Sirinen. He was able to offload to Sirinen as another player who's been working very hard tonight. Back for Neal. Docking across again. Again has Coleman with him, but again elects to take the tackle. 32 metres out from the Cronulla line, still no score. And as I mentioned, Balmain have made most of the breaks, if not all. Sorensen.
Well, there was a danger before this game got underway that the three representative players on the Balmain side, Roach, Sirinen.
Come back to your Rex, because look at Barry Russell stepping and weaving and bobbing and ducking and making a good run. Finally caught 35 metres out. Now can the Sharks continue that good work? It's gone loose. Locked backwards, said the referee. It's the last tackle signal now for the Sharks. Eddinghausen bombed way up in the sky. Taken magnificently by James Grant. He finds himself in the clear, but a desperation ankle tap brings him down. Up again. McGuire's with him. Neal's there. Neal's away. Has he got the pace? Yes, I tell you. Oh, he's stumbling. Almost falling over.
I thought
the line's going to be too close. And McNeil's in the score.
I thought he'd done a fetlock.
I think he did too.
Yes, a splendid, extravagant try, that one, a beautiful try. I was reminded of Eastern Suburbs in the grand final against St George on that occasion, going back a number of years, where Schubert took a pass, a kick like this near his line and ran the ball well away. This was James going, Grant going beautifully, was ankle tapped, managed to get his pass back inside there to number 12, Bruce Maguire. He got it on a Neal. Watch the aberration there. He must have dug into a deep bit of mud because I thought he was going to fall over. But he came away with a beautiful pass. Now here, with a beautiful try. Now here it is. Watch him again as he just digs in at some stage. There he goes. We all thought he was going to go down there, but he carried on. That's a really good try, a spectacular try, just the sort of try the Balmain fans wanted to see.
And the dispatch clerk has dispatched them. Mick Neal, second try for the year. And I'll tell you what, when he took the football, that line looked an awful long way away.
Well, I was cut off in the prime earlier there. I was talking about Roach, Sirinen and Maguire all having to be selected in the Australian team, and the danger in a game like this, just before they go away, of going quiet, not wanting to get injured and thereby miss the tour. But each one of the three of them has been very, very involved, and that's great to see.
Now here's Andy Currier, 11 goals for the Tigers already, and we're in Tiger Town as if you didn't know. Steadies himself. They've been threatening right through this game, the Tigers. Here's Currier's kick. It's going to be good. Right between the posts. So the Tigers over Cronulla, 6-0.
You don't have to be a star to appreciate this bar. Just the three sensations in a Cadbury Chocolate Supreme.
Crisp, light wafers, lots of peanuts, covered in Cadbury Dairy Milk Chocolate. Make this the 3-star sensation bar.
You don't have to go too far to love this bar. A Cadbury Chocolate Supreme. 3 sensations in one bar.
It's war out there, especially in the light truck market. But this winter, Nissan dealers have a secret weapon. This. During his winter campaign, your Nissan dealer has deals on his commercial range, like the Nissan Navara Nugget. At only $12,990, it's Australia's lowest price one-ton ute. Or the big top Nissan Navara dual cab from $17,990. That's Nissan know-how. That's a magnificent offer.
The genuine half-yearly sale at Angus & Coote.
How do you best judge celery? The stringiness of the stalk? The greenness of the leaf? Rosella know the best test is whether it's crisp or not. If it snaps, it's in. If it doesn't, it's out. Introducing the new Rosella Natural Choice Creamy Celery Soup. Soup so natural, it doesn't need artificial colours, flavours or preservatives. It's what we leave out that makes all the difference. Rosella.
Welcome back, live Friday Night Football. 6-0 to Balmain. It's a fair indication of the play. Gary Jack did McGaw pretty easy. He needed the assistance of Eddinghausen to finally put paid to his run.
I thought McGaw came up too quickly.
Now Pearce. Popji finds Edmed. The Balmain forwards are doing it so well. A vital 2 points for the Tigers as they'll lose some of their stars on the New Zealand tour. Neil gets his kick in. Docking, running backwards, takes it beautifully. Away from his own quarter. Steps inside Sirinen, taken by Hardwick. Now Porter. Head down. Cronulla struggling in defence somewhat. Lee. They keep on working a short blind side. Coleman just takes it inside Balmain territory. Russell. His nearest support, Speechley, was about 25 metres away. He couldn't get the ball to him. Now Speechley comes in to use it for the kick. In behind Steve O'Brien, way too strong. So, misjudgment from Speechley, the turnover for Balmain, and probably more problems for Cronulla, Peter Sterling.
Yes, they look a tired football side at the moment. Obviously, they've got a couple of guys backing up from Wednesday night, but, you know, Balmain look like busting them every time they're in possession of the football.
Pearce. Back for Hardwick. Neil, Roach, been causing so many problems. Pops it up for Brasher. They spread on this occasion, Cronulla. Maguire. Straight up the middle. Neil. Away from Docking.
young Nick Neal here. He's playing a sterling game. I don't know how he's ever left out of this Balmain side. I must say that only the times that I see him, he's always playing a great little game. A very, very good chaser of the football, a great kicker of the football, and a very wholehearted player.
Well, Davidson in from the wing as the Sharks get the scrum win. Speechley docking into the back line. Beat the first tackle, looks for an inside pass, there's no one there. Pulled out about 5 or 6 metres from the halfway mark. Gavin Miller lurking out wide, got a good ball away, and here the Cronulla Sharks now with Coleman getting up towards the quarter line. The kick ahead from Speechley's come off a Balmain player, and the Tigers have come up with it.
Yeah, that was a rebound. Here is the kick, goes straight into Roach, rebounds off him, but it's not a knock-on. Rebound in the rule book.
So the Tigers weather what looked like it might have been a little bit of a storm brewing from the Cronulla side. Now the scrums are pretty even, just 3-2 the Sharks have them, but the penalties favour the Tigers 3-1. Hardwick wrestles his way up to about 12 metres from halfway. Roach again, looking for plenty of work. They got one more tackle left in this set. Neal. Coleman gets it on the first bounce. Can't get past Brasher. Now blocking down the blind side. Certainly have been very inconsistent right throughout this year. On a number of occasions we've seen them record good strong wins against top sides and then come out the very next game and get belted. And the vice versa has happened. But here they are moving it around now with Wilson getting it on to McGaw. Down the touchline goes McGaw, looks for the pass back inside for Davidson. It wasn't well directed. Davidson hasn't been able to come up with it though. They got one more tackle left, the Sharks. Eddinghausen. Finally back to him from Miller. Jack is there for the kick. McGaw against that 3 or 4 times now. These two have met like this. McGaw chasing a kick and grounding Jack. James Grant. About 15 metres out now from the Balmain line. And here's O'Brien. Able to get the pass away to Pearce. Neal was back inside, but Junior couldn't get the pass away. Hardwick goes to dummy half, and here comes Roach again. Gave it back to Hardwick straight away. Pearce has put it down. So Eddinghausen takes it, and the Cronulla change getting ready.
Dan Staines in 41 will be going on to replace Dane Sorensen, who's succumbed to that knee injury.
Thank you, Bill. Now the Sharks right on the quarter line, trying to really put some pressure on the Tigers now. Danny Lee takes it up. About 15 metres out. Russell dummy half to Speechley. Change of direction. It's back for Miller. Now Wilson in a dummy half. On his own. Lost the football. So Roach will play it just 10 metres out from the Balmain line. And really, Bill Anderson, I was expecting to see Eddinghausen and McGaw take this game by the scruff of the neck. As Currier makes another break, come back to him a minute, Bill. The Englishman got a pass back inside for James Grant, who's going in and out and trying to get around McGaw, but Docking comes from behind. But Neal's out of backup. Oh, the little man gets the pass away to Jamie Currier. And he's in to score. What a magnificent Balmain try.
Absolutely beautiful stuff there by Balmain. And Currier was in it right up to his boot top, so that's allowing for a fair degree of mud that he's run through. Here's Maguire getting the pass away out to Currier. Now watch him weave his way back infield. Very, very smart football. Drew the defence. Now watch Grant as he runs this McGaw backwards and forwards. One side, then the other side, gets the pass away as the tackle comes. Neil unselfishly looks to his right. Currier's there on the backup, and there's a fine try. You won't see better. This is Currier, the Englishman, came out here virtually unheralded. He's a fitness fanatic, likes to do a lot of training, and it's showing in his play tonight. Away to Grant. I love the way he turned McGaw inside out there. McGaw takes the tackle, gets it away to Neil. Neil looks out there, and who's popped up? Currier, and Currier in to score a smart try. Believe me, that's a good one.
Made no mistake putting that football down, Currier. You ask him, he'll tell you he scored 2 already tonight. Only been awarded that one. And the 23-year-old Englishman who makes a living from football in to score a magnificent Balmain try. Bill Anderson, while he's setting this goal, I started to ask you the question. I was expecting to see Eddinghausen in particular, along with McGaw, but we haven't seen much of him.
Well, Eddinghausen hasn't put his stamp on this game at all, and he's a player with all of the skills in the world, but they're no good to you, you know, if you don't put them together on the field. We'll just wait for this kick, but I know Peter Sterling's got a few things to say about that.
All right, we'll check with Peter in a minute, but watch this kick first of all from Currier. At 2 metres in from touch. And this looks a great kick. Just swung around wide. It was a great kick, but didn't get the money. And the Tigers lead Cronulla 10-0.
Oh, g'day. Look, if you run out of butter, there's 2 things you can do. You can go out and get some more, or you can use pretend butter and hope that no one notices. Which might be all right if you're cooking for pretend people. But if you're cooking for your family or friends, then surely only the natural taste of real Australian butter is good enough. You see, I reckon life's too short to eat pretend food, so next time you're shopping, do the right thing. Double up on butter.
I've got a big temperature. This is when I had a headache. I had a really big toothache.
You often don't realise just how special your children are until they get sick. Then you want to give them special care. Panadol is special care. No alcohol, no sugar, and no aspirin. Just the gentle, trusted effectiveness of pure paracetamol. Panadol Elixir and drops. Special care for special people.
This is when I'm feeling better.
Of course, use only as directed for minor and temporary illness.
Welcome back. The Tigers doing it so well on Friday Night Football. 10-0 they lead Cronulla as Hardwick just brings it away. They go back for Neil and a simple knock on. As I said at the start of the match, 2 great champions joining us at half-time. Peter Sterling to talk about his future plans, and also talking about future plans, Jeff Hardy, our new world light heavyweight boxing champion. We'll talk about what's coming up for him. Docking now as Cronulla need a try before half-time. McGaw wrapped up very quickly, finished off by Maguire.
Lost the football there, but the referee was on the wrong side of the play.
Now Staines. All this good work of the first half can be brought undone if the Sharks go to sleep and allow, or Tigers go to sleep and allow Cronulla back into it. The Sharks have missed 8 tackles, just the 4 by Balmain. McGaw allowed plenty of room. He just tore right through them. He took 2 tacklers on his back. Last tackle, Wilson looks for Russell. Into the in goal. Way too hard from the little halfbacks. Way too hard.
Well, that's a kick that's totally wasted. The Nissan replay just shows it got nowhere near anybody and went straight over the dead ball line. That is a wasted kick. One of the rare occasions that Cronulla were able to get into an attacking position.
Roach doing the heavy work well tonight. Edmed. One thing about the Balmain players, there's always been somebody there to support the ball carrier. Pearce, right up the middle. 40 out from their own line. Maguire. Turning in tackles. Neil. Scored a try and had a hand in the second one, Neil. Now Docking. Nowhere to go for him. And Cronulla taking a long time to get back. Tolman. Only gains a metre. They're doing it tough, the Sharks. Docking again. Stretched wide. Lee. Well, he just runs. As you can see, there's no support on his outside there. So they're well and truly back on their heels, Cronulla. Russell. Up the middle. Striving to get out of the tackle, which he couldn't. Miller has plenty of time to get his kick in. Grant and Jack to go back for it. Jack, as he's done for most of the first half, brings it back strongly. Taken by Miller. He's played well for Cronulla in the first half. O'Brien. Stepping away from tackles. Strong fend that he possesses. Now Neal on the run around. Taken sideways about 5 metres in from touch. As they bring the ball away, Hardwick, and Billy Anderson was talking about Eddinghausen before. Peter Sterling, your comment on him and McGaw tonight?
Well, I think the Sharks, 10 points down in this game, need some inspiration. And when you talk in those terms, you talk about Andrew Eddinghausen. I know that at the Parramatta Club, we insist that Brett Kenny...
Well, here's a chance. Speechley's charged it down. Will he beat Jack to it? He shouldered him out of the way. He ran shoulder to shoulder. And Jack has saved the situation.
Well, here they are, the rebound. Gary Jack's come from behind, actually, and they're both running shoulder to shoulder. A legitimate, what I would say, a line ball situation, both doing the same thing. And I give a lot of credit to Gary Jack there for that saviour of that try.
Right up, Pete. What were you saying?
Well, that was nearly the inspiration there, but, you know, we try and get Brett Kenny to really stamp his class on the game in the first 20 minutes. I think that's what Cronulla need to do with Andrew Eddinghausen. He's a class player, and you've got to get them involved early in the contest.
Peter, do you agree that Eddinghausen would be a better fullback than he is a centre?
Well, I know in England they have a very high opinion of him at fullback because he has played there for the Leeds club. I would imagine that he'd be very dangerous there with the wide open spaces available. It's obviously something that must be considered. And I know that also this year he did make one of the representative teams early on chosen as fullback.
Yes, I just see him as a fullback, pure and simple.
Here's the current fullback, Docking. Flung to the ground by Mick Pobji.
Well, talking in Cronulla terms, Docking's such a splendid little footballer, and he's got a whole career of halfback football behind him, and he's also played a lot of 5'8". So he'd be a good one to switch around, in my view, if they wanted to change it with Eddinghausen going to fullback.
There's some options there.
But I don't select the teams.
Now, Danny Staines, who started the match on the bench, playing the football, played just inside the Balmain half. It's the last tackle already for the Sharks. As Miller got his foot to the ball, but it's too big. About a metre out on the full. So the play will come back to where he kicked it. This will be the turnover. 10-0. Balmain over Cronulla. Currier down the blind side is 10 metres short of halfway. Now here's Neal. Played very, very well. Edmed will play it. Back to Maguire. Just under 2 minutes to the half-time break. As Roach serves a pass up for Big Sirenen, who's belted through. Little Mick Neal's with him, but he's gone the other way to Currier. I know Currier's got the pass back to Neal, who's juggled it. It's come back to Currier. And he puts the football down.
Well, that was slow motion. Did he give himself up? I think he thought that he was going to be pulled back for a forward pass.
I think you might be right.
Anyway, it was a beautiful try. See it again on the Nissan replay. This is quality football. This is beautiful. Look at Roach. Calm and beautifully crafted try there with a pass that was held up beautifully on Big Sirenen. He busted them out of the way as if they weren't there. He gets the pass out there to Currier. Currier goes hard and strong. Looks back on the inside as the defence came in the shape of Eddinghausen. Got it to Neal. Neal got it back to Currier, and Currier trots over and gently puts the ball down. I think he thought the last pass was forward. It wasn't. Take the try, son. Keep going. Never give yourself up. Look at Sirenen go through that defence there. Is this fella going to be a bit of a handful for the Kiwis over there? In my view, he's the type of player we need, as is Roach, in the forward pack. But there's Currier, a very slow motion try, and I suggest that he really does pay a bit of notice to that. If he gets told about it, he must never give himself up. He's got to keep going as if everything's a lay down was there.
There didn't even appear to be a hint of a forward pass, did there? I can't understand that. Very strange. Certainly gave all the Balmain supporters heart failure anyway.
He did indeed.
Now here's Curry with the attempted conversion of his second try, and he's already had one disallowed, so he's right in this football game. And he's pushed this out to the right, so he can't add the extras. But it's still 14-0. Balmain over Cronulla as the half-time siren sounds, and the boys have a well-deserved break. Hey, Cronulla, what are you thinking to do?
And they find easy yardage way out to their own 40-metre line. Jack took the ball well low down. Straight down to Docking, traps it with his boot, puts all the Balmain players on side, manages to get away from two of them, sent a pass out to Coleman, who had O'Brien sweating on him. Just interesting with those changes. Staines will probably move to the hooking role for Cronulla. And another hooker looking on, Benny Elias, out with that broken thumb for some 2 or 3 weeks. Balmain might start this second half the way they started the first, well and truly on fire. Maguire. Hardwick at dummy half, signalling and sending Neal back out to the left. Roach standing. Dummy runners, finds Jack. But Cronulla read the play perfectly. Roach. Last tackle against Balmain. Neal. Straight down to Davidson. Does a bit of a dance. Annesley says to no avail as he tried to con the penalty. Ended up with nothing. A soft shoot from Johnny Davidson. Bring it out to the quarter. Through Pappas. Now Miller. Speechley shapes a pass. Ran into a heap of trouble. And Neal and Maguire. Hatch running from dummy half. No real purpose from Cronulla at the moment. Speechley. None in the kick either as it comes off the side of the boot straight across the padding. Just a reminder about Sunday night, the State Bank big game sets itself up as a great one between South Sydney and Penrith. Can they stop that unbeaten run of South's? 12 straight they've won. Courier stepping. Jack up in the front line. Brings Pearce into action. He's thrown into the mud. Switch of play. Edmed. Just standing and busting through tackles. Hatch. You get through some more work. Maguire. He steps. He had Jack hunting up on his shoulder. He tries to milk it for the penalty himself. Roach on the inside for Sirinen. Last tackle against Balmain. Seemingly Cronulla are just hanging on. The midfield bomb from Michael Neal. Who wants it? Balmain knocked it back. That'll just sit up there for Pappas to dive on it. Right in the middle of the mud heap. Now Lee, crunched by Sirinen.
That's great defence.
Now Staines, finding it a little bit tougher in the state of origin when he mixed it with that champion side from Queensland. Now Wilson really are looking for somebody to show them the way, Cronulla. Maybe this man, Miller. He's going to try and find touch, and he'll do it on the blind.
We mentioned from the outset the importance of this game from a Balmain point of view, because a loss would have put them 4 points away from the fifth place side. And of course, more importantly, they're going to be without their test players for the next 3 weeks. They have 3 of their forwards, Roach, Sirinen and Maguire, go to New Zealand, and make it 4 if you count Gary Freeman, who's with the New Zealand side, although he hasn't been with Balmain for 12 weeks. And over the next 3 weeks, the Tigers play Canberra, Norths and Newcastle. Canberra down at Seaford, they've got Norths here, and then they play Newcastle up at Newcastle. So the next 3 weeks will certainly be vital from a Balmain point of view. Here they are with a handy lead of 14 points to 0 at the moment. Just about on the halfway mark. Neil sends the ball racing towards the touchline and finds it without any problem inside the Cronulla quarter.
Yes, this is very close to a man of the match performance by young Neil. He's pulls these games out periodically, and he's had a few awards from me at different times. That's just a sort of a little added bonus, the great kicking game he's displaying tonight.
Awful looking scrum. And referee Annesley has decided to put it down again, not surprisingly. That game you mentioned on Sunday, Grant, that big game should be a beauty. Souths and Penrith. Penrith a little unpredictable. The Souths going from strength to strength. It's gone with the scrum feed, this one, and here's a good break now from Speechley up towards the quarter line. There haven't been too many clear breaks from Cronulla. They're going to get this penalty, though, as Balmain was inside the 5 metres.
Yes, the ankle tap was the means of bringing him down, but that wasn't clearly shown. But that's a terrible blunder. The failure to find touch from a penalty.
It was Courier who was penalised. He could find interfering in the play of the ball. Nevertheless, it was an awful mistake from Cronulla now not to find touch. And so the Tigers are back on the attack, 35 metres out from the Cronulla line. Roach gets a short ball from Podgy and flicks it back for Podgy. Now out for Brasher. Quickly wrapped up on the halfway mark. Here's Podgy again. Getting it away from Maguire. Hardwick. Now here's Sirinen. Pretty strongly tonight for the Tigers. Last tackle already for the Balmain team. Line side is Neil. And then Podgy. And then quick hands to O'Brien. Tried to put a kick in. He had no way of getting that kick in. But Cronulla have compounded the problem there because they've knocked it on.
Yeah, well, the allegation was from the referee that Hatch knocked on. I think he might refute it. We'll see. Yes, a tiny wee knock on. Just an infinitesimal little one, but enough to bring the ire of the referee.
When you're hot, you know the rest, because here's Neil from the scrum base up to the corner line. Very nearly got through. Podgy goes to dummy half. Gets it away to Maguire. Here's Pearce. 10 metres out from the Cronulla line. The Tigers want another try, so do the fans. Gary Jack going on his own. Got it back for Pearce, who can't pick it up. The Sharks come up with it. Magore it is, who will play it just 8 metres out from their own line. And Danny Lee lumbers for a metre or two before he's caught now. They're inching their way up towards the quarter line. And then on for Docking. The Balmain defence has been pretty good. That was Neil underneath him. Lee again. And Sirinen underneath.
Yeah, Sirinen's had some very good passages of defence. He's really strong. Very, very strong.
Eddinghausen, the kick and chase. Juggles, takes it beautifully under Russell. Champion play. And a beautiful pass away to Coleman, but he's spilled it. The pass was forward anyway.
There's plenty of cover defence there to pick him up, but the last pass was forward. Magnificent take by Eddinghausen, and the release of the ball onto Russell was superb. But this pass here was judged to be forward by the referee, and I think you'll agree that it was about half a metre forward. That's the spoiling of a perfect-looking move.
Roach just taking it up the middle. Peter Sterling, you tip Cronulla at the start of the match. Maybe not enough of the Eddinghausen magic. come back to that in a second. Balmain changed, Billy.
Yeah, Steve Benkick in stick 16 has taken the place of Steve O'Brien, who can only be injured.
He's already out there. Sirenen. Hammered to the ground. Neal kicking. Nearly into the crowd, though. All the way back. Disappointed. One of the few errors from Neal. Right on halfway this scrum will pack. Peter Sterling, as I said, you tipped Cronulla at the start of the match. Maybe not enough of the Eddinghausen magic.
Well, that's obvious, Graham, and I'm afraid that footballers and jockeys are the worst judges in the world, and I'm just going to prove that. So, yeah, it's been a poor performance by Cronulla, and I didn't expect them to put two back-to-back performances like that. Obviously, a pretty dismal one against Brisbane last week, and they just lost one against the scrum there, which doesn't help their cause either.
Well, the minor premiers of '88 will now find themselves in hot water in that scramble for the fight. Great ball popped up for Brasher. Into the clear. He'll go all the way to score and wrap up this ball game. Docking way too late on the scene, but Balmain doing it so well.
Well, Benkick's got an instant input into this game. It's a beautiful run and a release of the ball as they go in this situation. There he comes, the replacement, run a yard and popped a beautiful pass to young Brasher. Now, Brasher shows a very clean pair of heels here. He's carrying the ball in the wrong arm for a fend, but nonetheless, he did it all so well. Now, watch again the beautiful little run here of Benkick. Here he comes, and there he goes with a pass. He drew two men. Now, young Brasher shows a clean pair of heels. He scored a try in the last two matches of the Balmain side. I've got a big rap on this boy. I've seen him in the last 4 or 5 games that we've covered, and he's been an excellent player for them. I think if his head doesn't get too big, he'll be a schoolboy hero, and he'll probably kick on and be a much better football than he is now. But at the moment, he's not too bad for just short of 18.
And the young man, James Grant, will take over the kicking duties. Courier was getting some mud from the eye. Won't be fixed in time to take the kick. His first attempt for Grant, and remarkably for young Timmy Brasher, well, there's Courier. For Timmy Brasher, he was a man that Bill Anderson and I were running our eyes over earlier in the year, would you believe, in the Commonwealth Bank Cup. And playing for John Paul as Grant now. Looks for the extra two. He doesn't have any problem. No work for the linesman there. They didn't have to move. Balmain got it by 20-0. Alan Neal, the Tigers, well and truly sparking those semi-final hopes again. Cronulla having a woeful night as Miller just puts the kick in. Down to Grant. Kicking open side can be dangerous for a player like this. He keeps it alive to Pearce. He's got Gary Jack outside. Jack stepping just outside the quarter line.
Absolute craziness to kick to the open wing like that.
Maguire heads it back up the middle. He's still going. He'll get it away. Balmain keeping it alive. Pearce back away for Hardwick now. 5 metres away. They're stretched to the limit once more, the Sharks. Neal standing very wide. Podgy. Roach, he stands, goes back to the middle. Sirenen, wrapped up in the big mud patch, about 12 out. Podgy, he's got support, doesn't use it. Docking's got him. They look as though they'll score again through the legs. Back for Sirenen. He just charges ahead with a don't fend. Get out of the way, Sirenen's been saying all night long. Neal knocks it on. So the crowd were hoping for a try. It wasn't to be.
Yes, there was the unfortunate mistake that Neal made. That's one of the few mistakes he's made tonight. He's had a fine game. Missing replay just gave him away then.
Well, there it tells the story, doesn't it? Look at that missed tackle count for the Sharks.
Yes, horrendous.
Certainly tells the tale. The Sharks, 2 back-to-back disappointments. As they're on their own quarter, and Lee takes the tackle of Pearce.
Yeah, well, at this stage, they've conceded something like 60-odd points in the last 2 matches, haven't they?
Now here's a bright moment for them as they finally get something going. But again, they let themselves down. That's been scooped up by McNeil. Neil thought about running behind his own man, Edmed. Thought better of it. Did the right thing. Tiger's still on the charge with Hardwick. So 32 out from the Cronulla line now as Podgy links up with Roach and gives a short ball to Pearce. Junior just about on the corner line. Gary Jack at dummy half finds Hardwick. Now Neil again. Back for Edmed. Lost the football. Disputed possession, and the referee's going to play a knock on from both sides.
And Neil takes a momentary rest with his head on the chest of the Cronulla player. I thought that was fairly significant of the way the thing went. But the ball was ripped away there. Neil is in contestant for it. The referee says no, we'll have a scrum.
So Neil works the scrum for the Tigers. It's gone with the feed, and he's beaten the first tackle. Meanwhile, Mark McGaw's hobbling out in the back line for Cronulla. He's in trouble. Here's Gary Jack. Slips it back for Junior Pearce. Now back for Neil. Neil will play it just 11 metres out from the Cronulla line. Roach does a 360-degree pirouette. Hardwick at dummy half. Here's Neil again. Now Sirinen takes the tackle. They're inside that 10-metre mark. Still working away blindside with Neil. Finally out for James Grant, but they've lost the football. Cronulla have come up with it. It was Barry Russell who fell on it, and Cronulla will get the penalty as well. The little warrior.
Well, he's small in stature and small in weight, but he's got a heart really as big as all outdoors. He's a very, very gutsy player. He's one of those rare ones that comes along.
So the Sharks do find touch this time. Now the restart from the corner line, or just outside the corner line, in fact. Wilson takes the tap and takes the tackle. Cronulla, I mentioned to you, Balmain's opponents over the next 3 weeks. Cronulla, of course, don't have any representatives on the Australian team, but nevertheless they get this penalty. They've still got to play Manly at Caltex, Canberra at Seaford, and Canterbury also at Caltex.
Yes, the instant replay there showed the ball being slipped away from the Cronulla player. The penalty has gone to Cronulla. They found touch on the popular side of the ground, and this will give them a rare opportunity to get back into the Balmain territory with 6 to go.
3 straight penalties to the Sharks. We've got them up here. But they're 20 points behind. Balmain have blanked them so far. One did he blank. Now Patton.
Well, they're only running one out at the moment. That's all they're doing.
Here's Russell and Speechley. The kick ahead, Gary Jack was there to pick it up and very nearly make a break as well. Gore was there to bring him down. Benke. So again, those next 3 weeks vital for both clubs. In fact, every club in the Winfield Cup will be holding their breath for the next few weeks. Maguire playing it. Simple error has given Cronulla possession again. Speechley, well, there's a very short ball there, and McGaw really wasn't expecting it. And he's lost the football. And the referee hasn't seen it.
Doesn't the referee going to watch what's going on here? He lost the ball then. He could have penalised them, but he's allowed play to proceed. That's ridiculous.
Can Cronulla do anything with it, though? Lee. They've been struggling all night to put their game together. Speechley. Through the dummy. Not taken by any of the defenders. Wilson. running from dummy half. Now it's the last tackle. Miller, first receiver. The kick into the in goal. Went through the legs of Surinam. He turned quickly to recover it. Benke. Jack. Peter Sterling, I'll put it to you. Is this the start of it for Balmain? Are they going to go all the way to the semi-finals?
Well, that's a pretty tough call, Graham. It's, you know, a lot depends on what happens over the next month, 6 weeks. Very, very close competition up top, and this was an extremely important one for them to win because it does keep them in contention. They'll be looking for a similar run as they had last year through the semis.
Do you take Cronulla seriously after this one?
Well, you've always got to take them seriously. You know, they are a good side. They haven't shown their best tonight, but you know whenever you come up against Cronulla, it's a tough afternoon, and you know they're going to come out of these last 2 games very disappointed, but they're not going to drop their bundle by any means.
Davidson trying to lift his right now, right up the middle. They played so well last year, Cronulla. Miller running out of options. Just hitting it up. And it's easy stuff for the Balmain defence. Wilson. A lot of running from dummy half from this Cronulla side. Russell for Eddinghausen. Just slipped it back quickly for Speechley.
Well, they're resorting to just kicking now. They've got no real objective behind the kick.
Well, Speechley tried to recover it himself.
He was the only one moving forward.
Wire.
That was like a rugby union kick. Punt high and follow on. And hope for the best.
All else had certainly failed for Cronulla. Roach. Probably giving heart to Bobby Fulton tonight with his display. After not playing in the State of Origin and being picked in the Australian side.
He's just letting Wilson know that he didn't appreciate Gavin Miller, rather, something that Miller did to him in the tackle.
Coleman. Balmain change, Billy.
Matt Parrish will be going on in number 41 for Bruce Maguire.
There's Parrish. It's been a hectic week for Bruce Maguire. McGaw coming up with a front rowers style run right up the middle. Russell. They go wide. Wide to nobody. Eddinghausen, last man on the end of that, out near the wing. Back for Russell. Right up the middle. Now Parrish is out there for Maguire. Now Eddinghausen. Back on the inside is Wilson. Also for Speechley. Ducked under a jack tackle. They're on their 6th. Miller steams ahead. Back for Eddinghausen. Docking. Quick hands. Oh, I thought it might have been touched by Balmain before it went to Coleman. Bruce Maguire's left the field. He's joined Billy Anderson's sideline.
Bruce, I suppose 20 points to 0 says it was easy, but your Balmain forwards, they've shone tonight.
Yeah, it's just like last year, Bill. It's the Balmain evolved.
You're now still close enough, if good enough, to have a semi-final spot.
Yeah, for sure. That's what we're looking at, you know. We roll towards the semis just like last year, really.
Thanks very much, man.
He's trying to push some words out there for us, Bruce Maguire. Put in another great effort for Balmain. There's Cronulla right away. Wilson. He's got support in Staines. He can't handle it. Out over the sideline, tells its own story of the night.
Yeah, the Nissan replay shows Wilson coming away, getting the pass on to Staines. Staines makes a meal of it. The ball goes over the sideline, and Cronulla, another Cronulla raid comes to nothing. They've been a great disappointment tonight, and a vast disappointment to their fans, one would think.
And another change in the Balmain side, Bill.
Yep, sure is. Tony Chalmers in 18 replaces Andy Currier, who's played very well for his side.
And the scrum being set just inside the Balmain quarter. And Chalmers immediately in the play. Pearce, who's played very, very strongly tonight, as with most of his teammates. Very impressive Balmain performance. And this sends Docking across field, and he has 32 out from his own line. Davidson from dummy half down the blind side, made about 5 to 6 metres. With Russell and Lee. Miller. Pass which has gone nowhere, picked up by Poggi.
Now, Gavin Miller has never impressed me as a representative player. He can be outstanding at club level with the players that he plays regularly with.
Look at Chalmers, gone straight through the gap, and they're not going to catch him. Tony Chalmers been on the field, not about 60 seconds, that's about all, and he's in the score. Another Balmain try.
Yes, well, it came from this. Just Neil's involved again, and that's the way it goes. Neil's had one of those nights. He's been involved in pretty near everything that Balmain's done. But Chalmers just hot-footed it away. I think the fact that he's just come on and his pressure gave him the edge on everyone. But he got a beautiful pass served to him. He saw the gap. He didn't veer. He didn't do anything except run straight and hard through the gap diagonally. Gary Jack came back on the inside to give him an alternative to pass to. But really, he's done nothing except run straight and hard. And that was sufficient for him to go right through, beat the Wilson tackle. Jack, you can see, coming back on the inside. He's very aware of the fact of backing up. And Chalmers just goes and scores a very neat try with a strong put down at the end. The ball was banged down on the ground. A little bit dangerous to look at, but quite effective. Tony Chalmers, former Parramatta wing three-quarter, goes on for 60 seconds and scores a try. So the Balmain side now lead 24 points to 0. And James Grant having his second kick at go.
Successful with his first. And this is about 4 metres in from touch, right on the corner line. Pushed it to the left, so he can't have the extras. But gee whiz, it's a very strong 24 to 0 over Cronulla.
Leichhardt Oval, 24 to 0. Balmain over Cronulla, Friday night football. And another midfield bomb from the Sharks. It's been their last resort. Gary Jack, wonderful in the air.
Listen, replay. Gary Jack shows everybody that's watching, all the skill kids, how to take a football. That is magnificent. No thought of self, just flew for the ball, turned his body slightly sideways, and took a beautiful catch.
Balmain just getting it away from their own quarter line through banking. Now Edmed. Last tackle against Balmain. Neil. Docking. Not going to have a chance, I don't think, to link up with anybody. Defence down very, very quick through Parrish and Poggi. Davidson right up the middle. This Cronulla side, as I said, they were minor premiers last season, but they've had 66 points scored against them in the last 2 weekends of Winfield Cup football. And they really haven't looked like posting any points themselves. Russell trying to dart through. Now it's on their last. Pappas. Siren just puts a full stop to their set of 6 right there and then.
And then said, come here with a football.
The Chalmers. David Brooks is warming up on the sideline, and he'll be going out there for Edmed. All the Balmain forwards have been in great form tonight. Pearce back for Parrish. He straightens up and finds a bit of a hole. Neil, outstanding tonight. So's Ben Roach. Again, one of those dummies, and Jack's there to support him. Just gets ankle tapped as he was about to find himself into the clear, Jack. Poggi, Parrish, they want it wide. Cut out pass. Quick hands from banking out. It goes to James Grant. Look at the acceleration. The little chip over the fullback. Eddinghausen
quickly to the right. Just quick hands out there. There was one pass that went to ground and bounced, but it bounced fortuitously for the Balmain side. Benke gets it out to James Grant. Grant puts on the accelerator, goes up the sideline. When approached by the fullback, he did a little kick back on the inside. Now watch the pace there of Brasher, who's got there without any doubt in the wide world. He scored that one. Here's that move again from low down and head on. There's the pass that went astray. Benke loading out to Grant. Grant up the sideline. And he's set to score a try, but the fullback comes into court there, so he gets the kick over the top. Now watch Brasher. Brasher lobs right on top of that football, and that's his second try for the match. We'll watch it again from this point and see exactly. Yes, that's no question of doubt in my mind that he scored a very good try.
Tim Brasher. Great finishing tonight. And Grant now 1 from 2. Has another kick from out wide. Is that final replacement for Balmain's made as Edned leads the field.
Well, the crowd are giving him a round of applause. That's very nice to see.
Grant doesn't strike it well at all. The scoreline's an embarrassment for Cronulla, 28 points to 0. Now, Bill, there's a fresh man out there for the Sharks.
David Harris in 16 replaces Michael Speechley, who's put in more effort than most of the other Cronulla backs.
Billy, it's now 70 points in a fortnight against Cronulla. I asked Peter Sterling about taking them seriously after this one. It's difficult for him to bounce back.
Very poor defensive effort, and it's not just lack of enthusiasm. I think there are some technical problems there, both in their left and right defence, in their back row forwards, and also their centres. They're just not reading things at all.
So another restart from the Sharks. They have plenty of practice of that. And Harris in to make the first tackle. He's just come on the field. Now the Tigers will, they won't be content with 28 points. Want to get past the 30 barrier, I would think. And the way they're going, it's quite feasible. Stewart is there to pick up the dregs of this and is tackled now about 15 metres out from the Balmain line. The Hooks will play it now. Neil reaches the quarter line. After the conclusion of this game tonight, we're going to make Peter Sterling suffer. He's going to be giving us his forecast for the weekend. So he's going to put his head on the line as a tipster. Have you given plenty of thought, Sterlo?
Yes, mate, I have after this one, certainly.
We'll just tip Manly to win.
I think you might be happy there, Rex. I think they might get the points.
No, I won't remind everybody who you picked for this.
It's about the first time you ever looked after me, and I hope you realise that.
No, it's all right to come second. In a two-horse race. The Sharks get the penalty here in the dying stages of this game. So I wonder if they can get some points on the board. One of the few times they've been able to put some pressure on Balmain now. They're about 12 metres out from the Tigers' line. Now they're only about 5 metres out. Balmain will be desperate to keep their line intact. There's approximately 2 minutes of play remaining. Wilson plays it. And they're very, very close. Docking is only, well, you can see how close, only about 3 metres away. A swirl and a pirouette from Alan Wilson. I think he's there, is he? Staines it is. Staines is in under the post. Well, a very soft try in the end.
Yeah, Dan Staines will take the try, though. It's scored in a very convenient position. It's a pirouette that does it, and a tiring Balmain defence. There was the tiredness of Parrish, although he's a replacement, and Brooks was there, but nonetheless, he scored the try. Well, let's give them credit where credit's due. He scored only on the line. Didn't take the ball into the in-goal area, so that, to me, I would think that Dan Staines would be happy that he scored a try, but a little bit, shall we say, reluctant to take the points.
It's his second try of the year. and putting the ball down on a position that Andy Currier reckons he put the ball very early in the game and wasn't awarded the try. That's history now, as this game is from a Cronulla point of view. And Steve Roach, look at Steve Roach, he's really laying the law down there about that try being scored.
Well, here's a problem for Balmain. Hardwick coming off holding his hand. If he's a regular replacement for them. If he's got a broken wrist or something, they'd be in trouble.
The conversion attempt is successful from Alan Wilson. So it's now 28-6, yes. Hardwick coming off holding his arm, his hand, or his wrist, in fact. And Benny Elias is already out with a broken thumb. And Hardwick has filled in very capably tonight as hooker. So Balmain fans will watch anxiously for the results of all this. About half a minute of play remaining. In fact, they'll only just have time to restart this. A very convincing display by the Tigers and a worrying time for the Cronulla Sharks. Docking takes it. And Pappas will play it just about on the quarter. And Staines, the try scorer for the Sharks. So Cronulla now look forward to taking Manly on next week at home. And they've got plenty of work to do between now and then. Possession squandered again by the Cronulla side as Neil is there, as always, to pick up the loose ball. This is the longest half minute in history. With Harris very nearly got the interception. As the Tigers continue to move it around. They kicked at the halfway mark. There's the siren now. Mercifully bringing him in from the Cronulla point of view. The flags fly high for the Tigers, and why not? Because they are convincing winners here on this and Friday Night Football. 28 points to 6.
Okay, well, let's go through the scorers because there are plenty of them. Neil scored a try, Currier scored 2, Brasher scored 2, Chalmers scored 1. Currier kicked the...
Nevertheless, the penalty